Welcome, lovely viewers, to another exciting video. Greetings, explorers of knowledge. Join us as we embark on a quest to understand Artoria gens. The gens Artoria was a minor plebeian family at ancient Rome. Few members of this gens are mentioned in history, but a number are known from inscriptions. Under the later empire, at least some of them were of senatorial rank. Let's now venture into the realm of origin and explore the fascinating intricacies it holds. At least two distinct linguistic origins have been proposed for the nomen Artorius. Schultz, Herbig, and Salamis propose that the name is derived from the Etruscan praenomen Anther, perhaps Latinized as Arta. Other scholars have proposed a Mesopic origin, identifying a nomen Artoras, descendant of Artus, with a Mesopic possessive suffix orus, indicating filiation. Some scholars have suggested that Artorias might be the origin of the Welsh name Arthur. In the next segment, we'll be exploring praenomina and its implications for our subject matter. The chief praenomen of the Artori were Lucius, Gaius, Marcus, and Quintus, four of the most common names throughout Roman history. Lesser used praenomen of the Artori included Gnaeus, Sextus, and Titus, and there are a few examples of other names. Brace yourself for an in-depth analysis as we navigate through branches and cognomina and its far-reaching implications. The Artori do not appear to have been divided into distinct families, but a number of them used common surnames, such as Secundus, typically designating a second or younger child, and its derivatives. In this section, we'll be peeling back the layers of members to reveal its true essence. Artorius, according to Quadrigarius, the antagonist of the Capuan knight Serenus Bibelius Tori during the Second Punic War. In Livy, Tori's opponent is Tiberius Claudius Asellus. Gaius Artorius dedicated an altar to Venus at Mincina in Latium, dating to the 2nd century BC. Artoria, the former mistress of Gaius Artorius Dipylus. Gaius Artorius. L. Dipylus, a freedman named in an inscription from Carcelinum, dating to 84 BC. Artoria Minim, the wife of Gaius Valerius, was buried at Neapolis between 50 BC and AD 31. Marcus Artorius Asclepiades, a friend and physician of Octavian, whom he attended at the Battle of Philippi. He died in a shipwreck in 31 BC. Marcus Artorius Geminus, legate of Augustus, and prefect of the military treasury in AD 10. Marcus Artorius M. Elphilero, a freedman named in an inscription from Pompeii, dating to the latter part of the 1st century BC. Lucius Artorius Celsius, F. a soldier in the 19th Legion, named in an inscription from Caesena in Cisalpine Gaul, dating to the reign of Augustus. Artoria L. Cleopatra, a freedwoman named in an inscription from Caesena, dating to the reign of Augustus. Marcus Artorius M. F. Rufus Epirus, the husband of Artoria Callista, named in an inscription from Carcelinum, dating to the first half of the 1st century AD. Lucius Artorius Sex, F. Sex, N. son of Sextus Artorius and Praecinia Posilla, buried in a family sepulchre at Ameria in Umbria, dedicated by his sister, Artoria Secunda, dating to the 1/3 of the 1st century AD. Gaius Artorius Barsus, one of the municipal officials at Thuga in Africa Proconsularis, by AD 47 had been Pontifex, Odil, and Dumva. Artoria M. L. Callista, a freedwoman, and the wife of Marcus Artorius Rufus Epirus, named in an inscription from Carcelinum in Campania, dating to the first half of the 1st century AD. Artorius Q. F. Histrianus, one of the municipal Dumvas at Verona in Venetia and Histria, had held a number of civil posts, including quaestor of the treasury, during the early part of the 1st century AD. Marcus Artorius M. L. Secundus, a freedman buried at Rome with his wife, Clodia Apta, in the first half of the 1st century AD. Artorius Proculus, a grammarian whom Quintilian mentions among those who consider the tropa type of figure. Artorius Liberalis, named in an inscription from Pompeii. Marcus Artorius, one of the municipal Dumvas of Pompeii. Marcus Artorius, a gladiator named in an inscription from Pompeii. Marcus Artorius Stephanus, named in an inscription from Rome, dating between AD 31 and 70. Artoria Flaccilla accompanied her husband, Decimus Novius Priscus, into exile in AD 65. Priscus was a friend of Seneca the Younger, whom the Emperor Nero suspected of participating in the conspiracy of Gaius Calpurnius Piso. Artoria Harmonia, buried at Carthage in Africa Proconsularis, aged 2, in a tomb dating between the reigns of Nero and the Flavian emperors. Artorius Maximus dedicated a monument at Dyrrhachium in Macedonia to his wife, Valeria Rufina, aged 32, and their son, Artorius Rufinus, aged 19 years, 2 months, dating from the latter half of the 1st century or the first half of the 2nd. Artorius Rufinus, son of Artorius Maximus and Valeria Rufina, buried at Dyrrhachium, aged 19 years, 2 months. Gaius Artorius, the father of Artoria Flora, according to an inscription from the early 2nd century. Artoria Celsius, F. Flora, named in an inscription from Flavia Solva in Noricum. Gnaeus Artorius Callistus, dedicated a monument at Rome to his wife, Volumnia Auxis, dating to the 2nd half of the 1st century AD. Artoria Prima, wife of Clemens, an exhorter of Affactio, was buried at Rome with a monument from her husband, dating to the 2nd half of the 1st century AD. Marcus Artorius M. L. Primus, a freedman and architect, named in several inscriptions from Pompeii. Titus Artorius T. L. Faustus, a freedman named in an inscription from Canusium, dating to the 1st or early 2nd century. Titus Artorius T. L. Fortunatus, a freedman named in an inscription from Canusium, dating to the 1st or early 2nd century. Titus Artorius T. L. Rusticus, a freedman named in an inscription from Canusium, dating to the 1st or early 2nd century. Gnaeus Artorius Victor, buried at Rome in the late 1st or early 2nd century. Artoria Prima, named in an inscription from Rome, dating to the 1st or 2nd century, together with her son, Montanus, and a Marcus Artorius Secundus. Marcus Artorius Secundus, named in an inscription from Rome, dating to the 1st or 2nd century, together with Artoria Prima and her son, Montanus. Artorius Marcellinus, dedicated a 2nd century monument at Placentia to his wife, Clodia Leon. Artorius Valens, a native of Alexandria, was a soldier buried at Misenum, aged 26, having served for 6 years, with a monument from Julia Agrippina, variously dated from around the reign of Nero or the latter part of the 2nd century. Artorius Saturninus, a native of Sicia, was decurion of the Cohors Ilusitanorum, one of the auxilia stationed in Moesia Inferior. He was buried near the Tropum Trigeni, aged 45, having served 25 years. His children, Gaius Artorius, Rocius Saturnina, and Artorius Saturninus, dedicated a monument in his memory, dating between AD 130 and 170. Gaius Artorius, one of the children of Artorius Saturninus, a soldier buried near the Tropum Trigeni in Moesia Inferior. Artorius Saturninus, one of the children of Artorius Saturninus. Lucius Artorius Castus, a centurion in a number of legions and primus pilus of the Legio V. Maecenica, was named prefect of the fleet at Misenum, dux of detachments of the 3 British legions during an expedition against the Armenians, and governor of the province of Livonia. Artorius Victor dedicated a monument at Apulum in Dacia to his wife, Ulpia Maximilla, dating from the late 2nd century. Artoria Euphronusa, buried at Misenum in Campania, aged 26, with a monument from her husband, Artorius Sabinus, dating from the late 2nd century or the first half of the 3rd. Artorius Sabinus, the husband of Artoria Euphronusa. Gaius Artorius, named in a 2nd or 3rd century inscription from Bedricum in Venetia and Histria. Lucius Artorius Hilarianus, named in a list of members of the Boat Builders Guild at Ostia at the beginning of the 3rd century. Titus Artorius Minovalis, named among the municipal officials of Canusium, in an inscription dating to AD 223. Artoria Previta, buried at Narona in Dalmatia, aged 60, with a monument from her daughter, Aurelia Ursina, dating from the 3rd century. Lucius Artorius Pius Maximus, governor of Asia at some point between AD 284 and 298, during the reign of Diocletian. Artorius Amocius dedicated a tomb at Rome for his wife, Aurelia, and their family on the 13th day before the calends of December in AD 348. Artoria Frontima, named in a 4th or 5th century funerary inscription from Salona in Dalmatia. Artorius Julianus Megathius, a senator named in a Christian inscription from Rome, dating to the 5th century. He was the husband of Axia or Maria Tulliana, granddaughter of the rhetorician Victorinus. They had a daughter, Tulliana. Now, let's shift our perspective and explore undated Artori through a fresh lens, unlocking new perspectives. Artoria, the wife of Lucius Fabius Eutychus, a municipal official of equestrian rank at Ostia in Latium, and the mother of Gaius Domitius Fabius Hermogenes, who followed in his father's footsteps, holding a number of positions of responsibility. Artoria M.L., a freedwoman named in an inscription from Grumentum in Lucania. Artorius, named in a funerary inscription from Salona in Dalmatia. Artorius, mentioned in an inscription from the present village of El Guiba, formerly in Africa Proconsularis. Gaius Artorius Celsius. F. Dedicated a monument at Atest in Regio X to Apo Montana, a freedwoman. Gnaeus Artoriuson. F. Named in an inscription from Carthage in Africa Proconsularis. Marcus Artorius, named in an inscription from Placentia in Cisalpine Gaul. Marcus Artorius M.L., a freedman named in an inscription from Rome. Marcus Artorius, freedman of Hyginus, named in an inscription from Aquileia in Venetia and Histria. Quintus Artorius Q.F., named in an inscription from Interamnia Pratatiorum in Picenum. Publius Artorius, named in an inscription from Thibilis in Numidia. Sextus Artorius Sex. F. Husband of Praecinia Posilla, and father of Sextus, Lucius, and Artoria Secunda, who built a family sepulchre at Ameria. Sextus Artorius Sex. F. Sex. N. Son of Sextus Artorius and Praecinia Posilla, buried in a family sepulchre at Ameria. Artorius Abscantus, buried at Rome, with a monument dedicated by Prepusa, a freedwoman. Artorius Adiata, son of Gaius Artorius Secundus and Artoria Doxa Eudia, buried at Rome, aged 1 year, 4 months, 15 days, and 10 hours. Gnaeus Artorius Agathopus, buried at Brixellum, with his wife, Brixia Peres, children, Fortunatus and Inonia, his wife's freedwoman, Amanda, and nurse Doris. Quintus Artorius Amemptus, buried at Rome, with a monument from his wife, Artoria Veneria. Quintus Artorius Anticus, named in an inscription from Rome. Quintus Artorius Anticus Priscus Artoria Aphrodisia, buried at Tarentum in Calabria. Gaius Artorius Attentus, buried at Rome, with a monument from his wife, Artoria Felicula. Artoria L.F. Atticilla, daughter of Lucius Artorius Atticus and Villia Faustina, buried at Rome, aged 7 years, 4 months, and 27 days. Lucius Artorius Atticus, husband of Villia Faustina and father of Artoria Atticilla, for whom he dedicated a monument at Rome. Marcus Artorius M. Electus, a freedman buried at Rome. Artoria Exis, the wife of Marcus Menatius Gallus, one of the municipal dumbers at Vicentium in Etruria. Artoria Basilia, buried at Rome, together with her husband, Quintus Artorius Pamphilus. Artorius Capito, the father of Artoria Lomina, Artorius Felix, and Artorius Capito, named in an inscription from Ostia. Artorius Capito, son of Artorius Capito, named in an inscription from Ostia. Gaius Artorius Celsius. F. Sella, an Epicurean philosopher, buried at Sicaveneria in Africa Proconsularis, aged 32. Gaius Artorius Sella Munatianus, brother of the Epicurean philosopher. Lucius Artorius L. Chrysanthus, a freedman named in an inscription from Canusium in Apulia. Gaius Artorius Chilo, named in an inscription from Puteoli in Campania. Artoria Corinthias, together with Lucius Tiberius Tyrannus, dedicated a monument at Rome to their patron, Lucius Tiberius Telesphorus, and freedman, Lucius Tiberius Atticus. Quintus Artorius Crescens, buried at Rome, with a monument from his wife, Tarantia Sabina, dating to the 2nd century. Publius Artorius Docilis, a standard-bearer in the 14th urban cohort, dedicated a monument at Rome to Publius Heronius Macedo, a soldier in the same cohort. Artoria Doris dedicated a monument at Rome to her daughter, Ulpia Marcia, a slave of the imperial household, aged 13 years, 7 months, and 21 days. Artoria Doxa Eudia, buried at Rome, aged about 28, with her son, Artorius Adiuta, and a monument from her husband, Gaius Artorius Secundus. Artoria Eglige dedicated a monument at Rome to her son, Sidemus, aged 2. Artorius Eunice, a freedman buried at Rome, with his wife, Artoria Eutychia. Artoria Euplia, the wife of Gaius Julius Sabinus, with whom she dedicated a monument at Ravenna for Marcus Helvius Maximus, a soldier in the Praetorian Guard. Artoria Eutychia, a freedwoman buried at Rome, with her husband, Artorius Eunice. Artoria Faustina, buried at Sigus in Numidia, aged 75, with her husband, Marcus Citius Honoratus, aged 55. Sextus Artorius Faustus, named in an inscription from Rome. Artoria Felicula dedicated a monument at Rome to her husband, Gaius Artorius Attentus. Artoria South, a Felicula, buried at Rome, together with Gnaeus Pompeius Antigonus. Artorius Felix, son of Artorius Capito, named in an inscription from Ostia. Artorius Felicissimus dedicated a monument at Narona to Aemilia Barbara, his wife of 56 years. Marcus Artorius Festus Concessionus, buried at Hippodiahitus in Africa Proconsularis, aged 75. Artoria Firma, a freedwoman named in an inscription from Aquileia in Venetia and Histria. Lucius Artorius Celsius, F. Florentinus, buried at Lalladalia in Africa Proconsularis, aged 65. Decimus Artorius South, F. Fructus, a goldsmith buried at Rome, aged 27. Marcus Artorius M. L. Hilaris, a freedman named in an inscription from Grumentum. Marcus Artorius Honoratus, buried at Aquo Flaviana in Numidia, aged 80. Gnaeus Artorius Hyginus, buried at Thacia in Africa Proconsularis, aged 51. Quintus Artorius Itimus, buried at Rome, aged 15, with a monument from his sister, Laelia Stilb. Artoria Januaria, buried at Orzia in Mauritania Caesarensis, aged 80. Gaius Artorius Julius Orgendus, one of the quaestors in charge of the aerarium. Lucius Artorius L. Licinus, a freedman named in an inscription from Caesar. Artoria Lomina, daughter of Artorius Capito, named in an inscription from Ostia. Gaius Artorius Maximus, a soldier in the 4th Legion, dedicated a monument at Nazareth in Syria Palestina to Gaius Julius Quartus, another soldier in the same legion, aged 30, having served 10 years. Marcus Artorius Melanthus, buried at Rome, with a monument dedicated by Hilara. Titus Artorius Modestus, buried at Narbo in Gallia Narbonensis. Artoria Nams, buried at the present site of Surs, formerly in Africa Proconsularis. Lucius Artorius L. Nicephor, a freedman buried at Herdnia in Apulia. Gaius Artorius Alta, son of Valeria Tertia, named in an inscription from Narbo. Quintus Artorius Q. L. Pamphilus, a freedman buried at Rome with his wife, Artoria Bosilia. Publius Artorius Pastor, a native of Alexandria, was a soldier buried at Bura in Etruria, aged 32, having served 12 years, with a monument dedicated by Aponius Maximus. Quintus Artorius Phoebus, named in an inscription from Rome. Artorius Primitivus, husband of Valentia Flora, with whom he dedicated a monument at Rome to their son, aged 22 years, 2 months, and 19 days. Artoria L. F. Prisca, buried at Bidia in Venetia and Istria, together with her mother, Minucia Maxima, grandfather, Manius Minucius, and Lucius Livius. Marcus Artorius M.F. Priscillus Vicatius Sabidianus, a military tribune with the 7th Legion. Lucius Artorius Priscus, the husband of Minucia Maxima, and father of Artoria Prisca. Artoria Celsius. F. Procula, buried at Narbo with her husband, Titus Pompeius Venestus, and children, Titus Pompeius Proculus, and Pompea Venesta. Artoria Riparia, buried at Cirta in Numidia, aged 100. Marcus Artorius Rufus, a suboptio serving in an unidentified unit, mentioned in an inscription found at the Church of San Lorenzo in Caesarea, in Ravenna. Marcus Artorius M. L. Scindolumus, a freedman named in an inscription from Grumentum. Artoria Sex. F. Sex. N. Secunda, daughter of Sextus Artorius and Praecinia Posilla, built a family sepulchre at Ameria for her parents, and her brothers, Sextus and Lucius. Artoria Secundina, the wife of Gellius Felix, and mother of Lucius Gellius Artorius, buried at Salona, aged 8 years and 9 months. Artoria Secundina, the wife of Decimus Caelius Felix, and mother of Lucius Caelius Artorius, buried at Los Pompeia in Gallia Transpidana, aged 8 years and 9 months. Gaius Artorius Secundus dedicated a monument at Rome to his wife, Artoria Doxa Euodia, and son, Artorius Adiator. Gaius Artorius Simplicianus, buried at Chimaeus in Africa Proconsularis, aged 21. Gaius Artorius Simplicius, buried at Chimaeus, aged 70. Lucius Artorius Solon, dedicated a monument at Rome to his wife, Cessia Fortunata, aged 31 years, 7 months, and 23 days. Artoria Tertula, the wife of Titus Fulinius Firmus, and mother of Titus Fulinius Justus, for whom she and her husband dedicated a monument at Ravenna. Gaius Artorius Tertullus, flamen at Thubusicum in Africa Proconsularis, where he dedicated monuments to his wife, Titonia Primula, aged 43, and son, Gaius Artorius Tertullus, aged 14. Gaius Artorius Celsius. F. Tertullus, buried at Thubusicum, aged 14. Lucius Artorius Tyrannus, buried at Rome, aged 44 years, 10 months, and 23 days, with a monument from his wife, Fulvia Lacina. Artoria Veneria, wife of Quintus Artorius Amemptus, for whom she dedicated a monument at Rome. Quintus Artorius Q.F. Vetus, buried at Tergillium in Lusitania, aged 5. Marcus Artorius Zethus, buried at Aquileia. Artoria Zoe, dedicated a monument at Rome to her son, Lupicianus, aged 6 years, 14 days. Artorius Rufus, a grammarian honored by Festus. Don't forget to hit that notification bell so you never miss an update from my channel.